All right, so welcome everyone to Stonebelt's webinar, What is Ableism? How is this evident in faith communities today? You'll hear in a little bit more from our guest speakers, but I want to first tell you a little bit more about Stonebelt and what we do. I am your host, Reverend Sarah Vanderzee McKenney. I am the spiritual support coordinator for Stonebelt ARC. For those who may not know about Stonebelt, Stonebelt is a nonprofit service provider that offers a wide range of support services for people with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities, as well as neurodivergent folks. We are located in Bloomington, Bedford, and Columbus, Indiana, and all in between. And we are a secular organization. So that means we strive to offer support to people of any and all faith or spiritual practices. We are also a community-based organization. This means that we promote full integration and inclusion and belonging of people in their community. Now, before we dive in, I want to draw your attention to just a few more things. Please notice the donation site at the bottom of this screen. I will also try my best to remember to put this in the chat box here in a few minutes. If not, it will be also in the follow-up email that all of you attendees will get. We do ask that you consider making a donation, as we offer these webinars for free, but we do pay our speakers. So we want to bring you quality speakers and be able to give them something for their time, effort, and wisdom that they're bringing us. So please consider donating. All right, so this is the remainder of our 2022 webinar series. All of our past webinars for this year and last year are on our website, Stonebelt, www.stonebelt.org/spiritual/support. And again, this link will also be in that follow-up email. So you can see all past recorded webinars, but also you'll be able to register for our upcoming webinars as well. I want to note that the September's webinar will be inviting Dr. Eric Carter, and he will be giving strategies to help people with disabilities themselves, direct support professionals, and family members to better equip themselves to advocate for themselves when they go into a faith community and have some of those advocacy type conversations. And so Eric will give lots of tools and resources for you all. And so that will be a great way to have get tips and resources to have some of those conversations. And then in November, we will have another group of self-advocates who will be sharing stories of belonging from their faith communities. You will also note that this is being recorded and will be on our website, but it is also live on Facebook. So you can also go to Stonebelt's page on Facebook and see the recording there. Just some Zoom instructions. I know every time we get on, there's kind of might be a different set of settings. So please note, all of you attendees are muted and are not on camera, except for our guest speakers. We do encourage you to use the chat box to introduce yourselves, have conversations through that chat box, discuss who you are, what brought you here today. You can use that as a networking tool. If you have questions, please use the Q&A for those questions. And then that way, toward the end, we will have a Q&A session where you can ask our speakers some questions. And finally, we do have closed captioning available. It is automated, so it may not be perfect. I am working to find ways to make this more accessible, but that is what we have right now. So you can turn those captions on and have them showing, or you can turn those off. All right. Now, I'm going to start introducing people and having them introduce themselves. So actually, I'm going to stop sharing so you can see their lovely faces, and they will share a little more with you about who they are, their achievements, and what they're bringing with you all today. Again, in the follow-up email, you will get all of these slides so you can actually see their bios in front of you. And I know Tommy Cunningham has a wonderful link to his YouTube channel. So you'll get that link right in his bio in those slides in the follow-up email as well. All right. There we go. Hi, everyone. So I'm going to start with Misty. Misty, can you please introduce yourself to everyone and share what you would like people to know about you?
Hi everyone, my name is Misty. I work for Cook Medical downstairs in the workshop. I am also in Self-Advocates. I love doing events with Self-Advocates. And that is all I have to share on that one.
Okay, and Misty, you have, so just to clarify on the for Cook, and you work in the manufacturing area. So you work for Cook Pharmacal, or for Cook Medical, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
And can you explain what your job is for those who don't know what that is?
What my job is, I come in every day and I punch holes into 32s, and then those get checked, and then they get sprayed off and sent back to Cook for them to use for whatever they need to use them for.
And 32s, that's a part of tubing for medical equipment, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then we also talked about that you said that you also wanted to share that you do have a learning disability, and you bring that with your experience as well, correct?
Yes, I do have a learning disability.
All right. Anything else? I also want to highlight some of your positions as a self-advocate. What was your professional position in self-advocates? Do you remember what it was called?
I was a board member for the South Region.
Yeah, you were like regional specialist, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's a large part, that's a big part of Indiana, right? Correct?
Yes, that is. But right now I have put it on hold so I could learn more about it. And then I will get some more experience, and then I will eventually go back.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for your leadership and your service in that.
Thank you.
Thomas, can you please introduce yourself to everyone and share what you would like people to know about you?
Hello, my name is Thomas Cunningham. I go by Tommy because in and I currently go to right now to get my high school diploma at the Excel Center, which is a free traditional high school for people who dropped out of high school. With my job, I'm a part-time YouTuber to The Life of Tommy C. My website is www.youtube.com/TomCU96. And I work at Nick's English Hut as a kitchen assistant. In my disability, I am a autism and a learning disability.
Thank you very much, Tommy. And can you tell everybody a little bit about your job? I know that you're a YouTuber, but can you tell everybody a little bit about your job at Nick's?
Yes, Nick's has been a big influence in my life because of a special person, Brienne Sinlaw, because she found me this job, and OMG, she has to be one. I was first stamping the biz buckets, and then after that, I was now what I do, I unload the truck every day. So that means I have to go there extra early. Because of my move coming up, I have to go there now, maybe extra early to catch before, I have to get this all done before this place opens.
You say you have to work hard and in a kind of a timely fashion, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of good skills.
And get this, Sarah, I got six viewers on. I shared it on my Facebook page.
Perfect. Awesome. So you'll spread the word about this event, huh?
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Tommy. Anna, can you please introduce yourself and tell everybody what you want people to know about you? Hold on 1 minute. I'm going to, can you unmute yourself?
You got it?
Got it. Thank you. It was not allowing me to do that.
Thank you. Thanks, Kyle. Anyway, I'm Anna Harner. I'm 32 years old. I graduated from Crestview High School in May of 2008. I graduated from Ivy Tech Community College in May of 2014 with my associate's degree in business administration. I am engaged to a young man that I met here at the workshop back in 2017 when he was working here for a short period of time, but it wasn't a good fit for him. His name is Dominic DeWeese. We have a tentative date set for either next year or the year after that. We're not sure. It depends on how COVID goes. And but we want to live together to see if things work out between us as a couple.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
Thank you. And my diagnoses are, I have retinopathy of prematurity, which basically means that I am considered legally blind. And I also have an autism spectrum disorder.
Thanks, Anna. And where do you work?
I work in the production room in the workshop for Cook Medical.
Wonderful. And what pieces do you work on?
I primarily work on catheter connectors, which are these little pieces that are about this big. and you have to get them the little O-ring right in the center, and you have to make sure that they're not too tight, but they're not too loose either.
And you're known for your speed and the number of productions, don't you?
Yes,
And you've got special equipment to see those tiny pieces, right?
yes. Well, with my eyesight getting worse as I get older, I primarily do it by feel at this point.
All right. Thank you so much, Anna.
You're welcome.
Amanda, can you please introduce yourself to everyone and share what you would like people to know about you?
I work at Catalent.
You work at Catalent? And what is
Catalent, we make drugs.
Yep, you make drugs. Absolutely. And what is your job?
Assisted food service.
Assistant food services. Absolutely. And what are some of the things that you do in that job?
We cook, we do salad bar, all that.
So you help to provide a lot of you help to provide the food and prep the food and cook the food for the thousands of people that work at Catalent, right?
Yes.
So Catalent is a big employer, and they make lots of pharmaceutical medications, right?
Yes.
Important job you have feeding all those people.
Yeah.
What else, Amanda? You just won something recently.
I won a silver medal at the UA Summer Game for Special Olympics.
Yes, you were a silver medalist in bocce ball, correct?
Yep.
At the U.S. Special Olympic Games in Orlando,
Yep.
Florida.
Yep.
Congratulations for that achievement. And then, tell us about your education in high school.
I graduated out of high school 2006 and with a
Yep, you graduated from high school with a certificate of completion from Jefferson High School, right?
S
In 2006?
Yeah.
And then you have a position now with Self Advocates, correct?
I am the creator for
You're the
South
treasurer.
Yes.
Congratulations. And thank you for your hard work with that.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go back to Misty. Misty, can you tell everyone, you have a story about baptism. And can you tell everybody a little bit, so most of the people on here, so for those of you who are watching, we do have an array, a mixture of people with a variety of different beliefs. Everyone on this call, I believe, is primarily Christian, but just that's primarily the majority of the people that we have, but that was who wanted to speak to you all. But all of their advice and their wisdom, I think, can carry no matter what your faith tradition is out there. But Misty, can you tell me, can you tell us a little bit about your baptism and that experience?
Yes, I can. Hi, my name's Misty. Even though I wasn't ready to be baptized, my family wanted me to be baptized.
So we do have a pretty extensive art program, and we help clients sell that art, and they.
That's okay, keep going.
Not everything.
I can hear other people talking in the background.
I know, that's okay. Keep
Okay.
going.
So even though I wasn't ready, they made me get baptized.
So why were you not ready to be baptized?
I didn't know all the people at the church at that point.
Okay, so you didn't know people. Did you feel like you belonged there yet?
I didn't feel like I belonged, no.
Okay. So it sounds like you would have rather waited.
Yes, I would have.
And
Wanted to
what would you have rather waited for?
I would rather have waited to get to know the people more before I got baptized.
And can you share a little bit about like why that is? What does baptism mean to you?
Baptism to me is you should get to know the people in your church and the people outside of church that they associate with, so they can get to know you.
Okay, so I think I understand. It sounds like you're saying that you want, part of baptism is knowing the people in your community, in that faith community,
Yes,
because you're becoming a part of that faith community.
yes,
And so you would have rather gotten to know them and them get to know you before having that baptism.
yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thomas, I have a question for you. You have an interesting story about ableism while you attended a church, correct?
Correct.
So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Several years, I went to a church with my group home. The pastor told me I had to attend a disability service.
So how did that make you feel?
I didn't feel welcome being who I am. They also didn't play the music I liked in the disability worship service. During the regular service, they had Christian contemporary. But in the disability service, they had kid music, and I'm not a kid.
You aren't a kid, are you?
No.
And so before we move on to the next question, Tommy, so it sounds like the ableism there. So for some people on here that may not know what ableism is, it can be a number of things, but here it's people who do not have disabilities who decided that because you had a disability, had to be in a separate service. And it sounds like they also assumed that because you had an intellectual developmental disability, then that must mean that you're like a kid or something.
Right.
And you're not, right?
No.
And you have your own likes and dislikes.
Right.
For example, the music, and that was your desire.
Right. And one of my all-time favorite Christian stations, if you guys all heard of it while you guys are watching right now, it's called K-Love.
K-Love. I have heard of that.
And Air One.
And that's a lot of like kind of Christian rock, correct?
Yeah.
And that's what you were looking for, was a place that had that, correct?
Yeah.
So can you tell us, you had kind of a similar experience in your youth program. Oh, hey, Tommy, somebody from the chat said that those are two really good stations. They agree with you. They like those stations.
Oh, thank you.
So you have another story that is kind of along the same line. Can you tell us about your experience with the youth program there?
I joined the youth program, and after attending for a while, I was told that I couldn't be there anymore, and I had to attend the disability group because of my OCD.
So they wanted you to go, you tried to attend the regular youth program, but because you had OCD and you needed some support, they sent you to a separate program, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how did that make you feel when they kind of made you go to a different program?
I felt sad and excluded.
Absolutely. Anything there that you want to add, Tommy?
I feel like the past couple of years, because I've been having a lot of understanding during my belt, I'm feeling more independent now. I'm feeling like I don't need all the help that I need. And sometimes we do, because that's why we got disabilities.
Right. So there are some things that you need help with, but that's not a bad thing, right?
Right.
Right. And it sounds like you also mentioned, like, as you get older, you grow and you learn more about yourself and everything else. And then
Yeah.
you're able to ask for help when you need it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're continuing to grow and learn about yourself.
Right.
That makes it much easier to be an advocate for yourself, huh?
Yeah.
So Anna, I'm gonna ask you to unmute yourself. Hopefully you can see it. I had to mute you again because of some background sound. But you should get a message on your computer.
Thank you.
So Anna, when people hear that you have autism and that you are primarily, not completely, but primarily blind, what do people assume about you?
They assume that I can't work, I can't live independently, and I can't get married, but I am able to do all of those things.
Absolutely. So again, for those on here that doesn't know really much about what ableism is, this is another example of ableism when especially non-disabled people make assumptions instead of asking, but making assumptions about people with disabilities, especially assuming that all people with disabilities just can't do anything, right? And so some of those things that you mentioned, that you can't work, you can't live independently, and you can't get married. So how does that make you feel when people make those assumptions about you, Anna?
That makes me irritated,
You're just irritated?
and it makes me angry.
Yeah, I bet I'd be angry too. So specifically at church, what are some assumptions that people might make about you and what you can or cannot do at church?
I can't participate in the worship, I can't lead worship, I can't sing.
And that's it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I can't read.
And is that correct?
No.
So what can you do, Anna?
I can be a liturgist and read scripture. I can sing in the choir. I can do all of those things. I just needed some accommodations.
Absolutely. And you do sing in the choir, don't you?
Yes.
And I know that your gift of singing has now been appreciated at your church currently.
Yes.
So you did talk about some of the things that you can do, and you also talked about how you do need some supports to do some of those things. Do you want to tell everybody what some of those supports might be?
Large print Bible, large print hymnals and music, large print bulletins. And that's all I can think of right now.
Okay. And so a lot of large print stuff is it is really helpful for you.
Yes.
And do they do that at your church now?
Yes, they do.
including the hymns, right?
Yes.
That's wonderful. And then how do you get there? Can you get to church on your own?
No, I have somebody from my church take me because the bus does not run on Sundays. And a lot of times my staff isn't able to take me because my roommates do not have alone time. And BT Access isn't able to take me to the early service, which is what I prefer to go to.
So for people who don't know, alone time is time without staff, that they need more staff support. They need somebody with them. And then for BT Access is a certain type of bus transportation, correct?
Yes, BT Access is a service that Bloomington Transit provides for people with disabilities or for higher medical need
Thank you.
people.
And so that's an issue, is we got great transportation here, except on Sundays.
Yeah.
And so for you, you really rely on your fellow congregant members to help you with that, right?
Yes,
That's great. And do you enjoy that time?
yes, I do.
Wonderful. I'm gonna come back to you on that because I think I have some more questions for you, Anna, on that.
Okay.
Amanda, you have talked a lot, you and I have talked a lot about how people have judged you, similar to Anna, who have judged you in the past. How can you tell us a little bit about how people have judged you in the past?
My weight,
Okay. And what are some of the judgments that come with your weight?
I do that, and
And they judge you on that?
yes,
Okay. And what is another way that people might judge you or make assumptions about you?
my sleep, my speed. I can't talk today. That.
The way you speak?
Yes.
Yeah. And what do people assume about the way that you talk?
I'm not smart.
Okay, so people think that you're not smart just because of the way you talk.
Yes,
Sorry about that.
that's fine.
I know that you are smart.
Yeah.
So people assume that you aren't smart just by the tone of your voice.
Yes.
And did people make fun of you at one point because of this?
Yes. And I too.
In high school, people picked on you a lot for it?
Yeah.
So when people make these judgments or assumptions about you, do they tell you what you should do with your life as well?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
They told me to stay home, don't get a job, go.
So people tell you that you should just stay home, not to get a job, don't do anything.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's because they think you can't do anything, or they think that's just best for you? They're trying to
Bet for
make
me.
you that it's best for you. So they're trying to protect you. Okay. So at church, instead of people deciding what things they think you should do, what would you like them to do instead?
Let me do it. I need help.
Let you do it? Okay.
I need
What
help out of my ass.
Okay, so ask. Ask if you need help, ask what you want to do. Okay. So that again, for those who are listening, that's this is another, and Amanda shares another example of ableism, of other people making assumptions, one based off of speech or whatever the case may be. And then either doing it out of protection mode, it could be they're coming from a nice point of view and they want to protect you and they want you to be safe, but you're an adult, right?
Yep.
And you can make your own decisions. And who knows what's best for you?
Myself.
Yourself. That's right. And so just asking
Yeah.
goes a long way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then I think that's all I have for now, Amanda. I'm going to come back to you. Misty, you have talked to me about how you were not happy with a Sunday school class, some Sunday school class options at your church. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Hello again, my name's Misty. All of the classes have a lot of reading and then listening to the person talk. I do not like how they don't read from the Bible very much. I also want to have a class where there is more discussion and other learning styles instead of someone talking at me the whole time.
Okay. So again, this is a good example of ableism, which is our topic for today. So that makes sense. So in this example, they're assuming, even though it's subtle, this is kind of an example of kind of systematic ableism, which is not purposeful. It's just kind of ingrained in how we do things. But there's a class that you're trying to take, and all they do is depend on reading and then listening to somebody talk at you. And does that match the way you learn best?
No, it doesn't.
How do you learn best, Misty?
I learn best by people sitting and reading with me. And that's the way that helps me comprehend what I'm reading.
Okay, so kind of like a buddy when you're reading.
Yes.
And then when you're reading, do you like to have discussion about what you're reading as you go?
Yes.
Okay, so you get a chance to kind of talk about what it is that you're reading so you can kind of think about it.
Yes.
Okay, and so that's another way of learning. And my guess is a lot of other people would love that way of learning too, not, whether you have a disability or not.
Yes. Other people would like to learn that way. I'm
excuse me, I agree with you. I think other people would enjoy that as well. So I'm seeing if I have another question for you. Misty, you did say, so you said that conversation is a good way for you to learn. And so maybe this is a good, so Misty, somebody said in chat that they learn that way, the best that way too. So I think that's true for a lot of people, that they understand what they read after they have a chance to kind of talk about it.
Yes.
So there you go, folks. There's one tip from Misty to include in your congregations. More forms of learning styles in your Sunday schools or religious education classes. Whether it's discussion based or somehow doing what it is that you are reading. Thank you so much, Misty, for
You're welcome.
sharing that tip.
You're welcome.
So Tommy, you were talking about how people made a lot of assumptions.
Right.
And so instead of people telling you what programs or classes or worship services you should go to, what do you want people to do instead?
Like maybe sending an email to like myself, or like sending an email to my staff and just letting them know, like number one, like what kind of services they do, because 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 if anybody's watching from the Westview Community Church, that's the church that I'm wanting to go to. And honestly, just to, I need that kind of support, you guys, because I need the one-on-one support, like from like a buddy.
Okay, so I hear you say two things. I'm gonna stop you there real quick, Thomas.
Sorry.
No, you're okay. Because you said two great important things that I want to make sure everybody, that I want to kind of stress. So you mentioned one, giving you the options instead of making the decisions for you. And then the other thing that I heard you say, they can do that through emailing or writing that down so that you have your choices in front of you. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. And then the second thing that I heard you say is having like a buddy with you when you're there at church, so that if something comes up and you need support, you can just turn to that person.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And since you mentioned supports, so you mentioned having like a buddy, what other supports do you, Tommy, benefit from?
I like the kind of supports like maybe at the church, I could probably help out like with audio and visual, because my goal is to become a person with that kind of interest. And like also I would like to ride in like the church bus or the church van home, or maybe on some of their field trips.
So it sounds like you, one, need transportation to and from like services or programming at the church. So you too, like with Anna, would benefit from transportation.
And because I'm moving to a new location and I don't know what kind of transportation they're looking at.
And so you needed to have that conversation before you start.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the other thing I heard was not just the support that you need, but what support can you give the church? What service you can provide is your knowledge of technology and being able to help out with technical stuff at the church. That's your gift.
Yeah. It's like number one, I could help them out with the Facebook Lives. I could also, if they would like, I could also put them on Zoom. I could also, if there's like a Sunday school, I could help them write out like the papers and stuff.
Absolutely. And I think you highlighted a very important thing, which is you're not the only one that needs support. You need other people's help, but that you can help the church too.
Right.
Absolutely. You have gifts to share too. Thank you so much, Tommy. Anna, you are unmuted, so you don't have to worry about that. You talked about a lot of things that you can do at church and what you enjoy doing at church. And you talked a little bit about transportation. Can you tell me, this is not I'm kind of going rogue, so this is not on your piece of paper.
Okay.
But I am wondering, so during that transportation, what do you like about, you've told me before that you would prefer having somebody from your church take you other versus having staff take you all the time. One, staff are oftentimes not available, but that you would prefer somebody from your church take you instead anyway. Can you tell us why that is?
Because in a way, it's a form of worship because, well, if my roommates don't want to go, or if they're not of the same religious beliefs I am, I'm out of luck.
Right. Right. And you said that it was a form of worship. Are you talking about like the connection that you have when you're in the car with the other person?
Yes.
Okay. And what type of connection can you have in the car with somebody when you're driving?
Getting to know that person.
Absolutely. That's special time, huh?
Uh-huh.
Somebody from chat says, Anna, yes, giving a ride to someone, for someone is a part of worship. They agree with you. I did not pay her to say that. Well, I am paying her, but I did not pay her to say that. And I think that is a wonderful, wonderful wisdom. So thank you, Anna.
You're welcome.
And Amanda, we're getting close to Q&A time. I know people are itching to give you all questions. But Amanda, before we do that, Amanda, I'm finding my question. You talked with me about people's voices and how people's voices sound different when they talk to you. Is another great example of ableism, and I'm sure I'm already seeing kind of Anna nodding her head and Misty nodding her head. How do people's voices change when they
Get
talk
loud. Get
to you? They get
loud.
loud. Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you think they talk loud?
Like a kid.
Oh, and so they also talk to you like you're a kid.
Yeah.
Talk to you in that cutesy voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're not a kid, are you?
I'm 34.
You're 34. Definitely not a kid.
No.
You've got some years on you.
Yeah.
So they talk loud. So maybe they talk loud because they think just because you have a disability, maybe you're deaf or
Yeah.
something, and you can't hear, so they got to talk louder. I've seen that happen a lot. And then yeah, they talk in that cutesy tone like you're a little kid.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What other, you also have said that we've talked about the word patronizing, and people when you tell some people about your boyfriend, they make it like it's some big deal that you would have a boyfriend.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, like Anna, yeah,
You have, well, so that you have a boyfriend. Can you tell us a little bit about your boyfriend?
okay. Yeah, I had a boyfriend.
What does he do for a living?
He's working on being a fireman and
He's working on being a fireman. And so when people find out that you have a boyfriend and that you want to get married someday, that people make like a big deal about it as if they didn't think that you could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that make you feel when people act super surprised and shocked?
I don't know.
It seems silly that they would think
Yeah.
that you couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we've talked, you've kind of been like, I don't know why they are so surprised.
Yeah, but like they are.
It's normal. Why wouldn't I have a boyfriend,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Amanda.
You're welcome.
So we're going to move to questions because I do want to get some questions. And then I know each of you have kind of a final tip for everyone. But let's move to questions. So anybody who is on here, please put in your questions in the Q&A section. And our speakers, you don't have to worry about reading them. I can go ahead and ask. So Ruth has a question. And they say, what would your panelists suggest for lower functioning disabled persons like my 23-year-old son, Isaiah, for worship services, since he loves worship music and moves and dances, as well as belting out loud sounds of joy? If he was not disruptive, they would allow him to stay, but he is, and it would be nice to have another worship for other low functioning persons that may likely make a joyful sound. When he was a kid, he was in our church's buddy Special Stars program like Joni and Friends. It is limited since they are not enough there are not enough people willing to be one-on-one. But higher functioning disabled people can help. So I guess a big question, maybe the way to ask this, guys, is if somebody likes to move around a lot in worship and likes to use their voice a lot in worship, and other people think that's disruptive, what are some of your, does anybody have any suggestions on what they might do?
I do.
Go ahead, Tommy.
So my advice for like a low functioning person, I would recommend they talk to their pastor or youth pastor, because the youth pastor might have an idea for them, because there's like a lot of different Christian camps, like the Christian camp that I go to called Wonder Valley Christian Camp. And they do a thing called Grace Week, and that's a really special program for non-functioning and functioning people with disabilities.
Okay.
And the website for that is wondervalleycamp.org.
Thank you, Tommy. Something that I will also suggest that I've helped some churches do is, and you all can tell me if you agree, but is instead of having a separate service just for people with disabilities, there might be other people who have or don't have disabilities who like a louder, more active service. It's not just about people with disabilities who may like a louder, more active service, that there might be other people without disabilities who like the activity and the movement. So having just a service maybe titled, call it whatever, active, active worship or something like that. And anybody who wants a more loud, interactive service could join. And that way you're still including both people with and without disabilities together. Anna, you're gonna know this person. Pam Osborne
My mom.
asks, what do you do when someone makes you feel inferior?
Oh,
So-
jeez. Mom, did you really have to ask me that?
And anyone can answer this if you don't want to, Anna. But what do you do when somebody makes you feel inferior or less than?
Oh, jeez, Mom.
Who wants to take this question?
I will try it out.
Okay, go ahead, Misty.
Question again?
What do you do when someone makes you feel inferior? So less, more like less than, makes you feel.
It makes me feel very angry and upset.
And so what can you do to respond to that?
I could go talk to them and tell them how it makes me feel.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great way to then have somebody know that they're doing something wrong in that moment, is you just letting them know, this is how it
Yes.
makes me feel, and this is what you're doing. So direct communication, great. And that's what you guys talk a lot about in self-advocates, is somebody else not advocating for you all the time, but you advocating for
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
Does anybody else have a question on that or have an answer on that?
No.
Okay. I've got another question from Pam. How do you help each other? How do you help each other?
I could answer that for you.
Go ahead, Tommy.
How I help out everybody. It's I do a lot of research online, and I do some thinking to myself, what would it be like if I'm in their shoes? That is the thing that I learned from my skills person, and they say, Tommy, what would you do if you were in their shoes? And I would, if they ever need help, I will ask them, hey, you guys should go take a couple deep breaths, and then after that, you guys should go. If you guys are still feeling upset, just talk to everyone.
So I heard you say a few different things, figuring out what it might feel like to be in the other person's shoes, empathy,
Right.
and then also communication, having the opportunity to talk it out directly with the person.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tommy. So Kim has a question that I think is right along the lines of my closing question. So let's do that. And if anybody has more questions, please feel free to email me if you have specific questions for any of our guests. And I'll get their answers back to you. Misty, what is your advice to people in faith communities about welcoming people with disabilities?
Hello, everyone. My name's Misty. They should go out and learn more about their community and the people in it, including people with disabilities, and help people with disabilities get to church, because that's what they want to do.
Thank you, Misty.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. All right, Tommy, you're up. What is one thing that if there's one thing you want faith communities to know about welcoming people with disabilities, what would that be?
My advice would be try to be more capable, like on their own shoes, because a lot of people with disabilities don't even know when it's time. What they need is a great resource that my coordinator asked. It's called the put timer alarms on your phone, because every once in a while you may not know when the van's ready to go. You may not know when the bus is ready to go. But if you guys have an alarm, that would help you.
So I hear you, Tommy, offering that as a tool for faith communities to have kind of in their back pocket, so to speak, so that if somebody with a disability can benefit from a timer, whether it's, you know, time for worship or time for the next thing on their schedule, or like you're saying, time for the bus, or go ahead.
And if they need help, just to go outside and take some deep breaths, because if they're feeling overwhelmed.
So, and so that's another tip is if somebody is frustrated or is anxious, just to give them some time to cool off. Was there something else?
Yes, yes, somewhat what my personal, or what my buddy always did with me there at Wonder Valley. They said whenever I get upset, we just pray, and that's the thing. You just gotta let Lord do its thing.
Absolutely. And so the other thing I heard you kind of say in there, Tommy, is that if you get upset, that's normal. We all have our moments, right?
Yeah.
And so to have somebody just help you kind of think it through and calm down is really all you need.
And Sarah, I'm
Yes.
I'm sorry that I got nervous.
That's okay. That's completely normal. I always get nervous. Anna, thank you so much, Tommy, for those suggestions. I think those are good tools for people to have. Absolutely. Anna, what are some things that if anybody needs to know anything, there's one thing the people on here need to know about faith communities welcoming people with disabilities, what would that be? Oh, I'm sorry, Anna, you are muted again.
We are not handicapped, we are handy capable.
And so what do you mean by that?
What I mean is, we don't like to be put in a box.
So you don't like to be put in a box?
We don't like to have assumptions made about us.
Absolutely. So it's not about things that you're not able to do, but that you're able to do a lot of things.
Yes.
And so would you like faith communities to know and to learn about those gifts and what you can do?
Yes.
Wonderful. And I know you and I have talked about that. If there's one thing that you'd like people to know is learn about the person, don't make assumptions.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anna. Amanda, what do you want faith communities to know about including people with disabilities?
I want people to know, treat us like everybody else.
You want people to know, to treat you like everybody else?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's
Are-
also like the golden rule, you can always, yeah, you treat the others the way you want to be treated.
Absolutely. And we're all humans, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So why would that be any different? Disability or not, treat us all the same way, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to all of our viewers. I'm sorry we didn't get to all of your questions. If you have more questions for me or for the viewers, please, I'm putting my email in the chat box now. Please email me. I am also willing to help anybody who wants to know more about how to do inclusion in your faith community. So please shoot me an email and I'm happy to help. But learn from these folks. They all said, just ask the people with disabilities and they'll let you know what they need. Thank you all for joining us. Take care.